Hey everybody, so we're back in the forge and this is going to be day two. I apologize that I had to basically cut all my big video into 6 parts, but that's what I have to do for now. So for now we'll do that and it'll be fun. Yeah, it's a beautiful day again. Sometimes the sun comes out, sometimes it's hiding, so we might just turn on the light just after a while. And I've already got a fire going. I want to talk to you right now about a few things. This is the knife that we had that we made on the other day, day one, and we're going to be working more on that. I'll put it over here. I have a few things to show you. All right, so right here I want to show you guys I made this beautiful knife. It took me a long time to do this in this forge, and this is a big Bowie knife slash kukri knife. I wanted to have a nice, I like the curve of the kukri knife, but I thought it was really aggressive in the original ones, so I decided to do something like this. Yet again, I used that Zebrano wood on there. It's just the most beautiful wood I've ever seen, and I wanted to put a nice piece on there. All the pieces, all the lines on that wood actually matches, as I hope you guys can see that well. I think so. And yeah, it's very nice looking. I'm proud of this one, especially for the size of forge that I have, because it's not meant to make long blades. If you want to make long blades, you have to have like a V-shape style forge where you can put your blade all the way through, the Japanese style if you want. And this one here, the forge I just cleaned up, it's all ready to go for day two. And when I made that blade, I had to bend it and made it fit in there, and I had to straighten it up and bang it, and then I had to bend it again and make it fit. So it was a really big challenge, especially to quench it too. I had to bring my coals really high and try to get that air to go through, so it was a challenge. But other than that, I still made it, and it's just to show that you can make just really nice knife if you take the time to do it and you're not in any hurry. This one was like kind of a you know, in lost times, and I was busy building other stuff, so I did this on my spare time, and this is what it did. And I'm looking forward to do a sheet for this. And yeah, so I'm gonna basically, every knife that I made using a horseshoe, I've always did the same technique, opening up this crack here, and then after that what I do is, right now I'm going to be spreading it out a bit like this on the sides. And if you move the metal from the bottom while you do that, it actually it'll straighten it up as you go. So even if there's a little bit of a curve, as I hit the metal going downwards, it's going to bring it straight like this. And then I'm going to work on adjusting it as you go. But yeah, the main shape of this knife is right there, and I got enough metal, I think, that I could basically move it around. It should look good. There you go. So yeah, this is one of my pride and joy, and I still have to do an etching on it. And I was thinking about probably putting like a grizzly bear paw on there, because it's my favorite kind of animal, so I think it would look good. All right, back on track. So I got my fire almost done here. It's perfect time to grab these coals. I hope I don't talk too loud because I've got my earplugs on. For now I think it's fine, but once the fan gets on there, which I'm going to start soon, it's going to change a little bit. So here we are, starting right from the get-go, from the start. We got our blade here. Gonna put it on here so it starts to warm up, and yeah, just start the fire. Forge is good to go. I chopped a little bit more wood. Instant forge. I also took the time to open up this little flap down here and let the ashes come out, and I just push them down, and that's all there is to it. And that's it. And I've got my pan on the other side. If anything falls off, let's go. You guys know the drill now. So what I'm going to start to do today is work on the tip and make that tip a little bit longer and start to shape it really nice. I'll open up this hole with a little punch, a handmade punch that I've got here. I believe it's not too far. There it is. It's right here, and I'm going to open this up, open up the hole a little bit when it's warm. It's hot. And yeah, so you guys are going to see it as I actually work it down like this. It's gonna be flexing that blade like I explained it a little bit straight, and we should be good. It's gonna be a really nice kitchen knife, that one. I hope so. You can never tell. I mean, things could always happen. So I believe the last time I spoke about these special vice grips, and I got these at Princess Auto. So if anybody of you is wondering where I got these, and they work awesome, because I was thinking about making my own pliers and everything, and I mean, why would you? You just adjust it and it's like, you know, 21st century kind of deal. So yeah, that's what I decided to do, and so far so good. I mean, maybe for bigger stuff I wouldn't be able to grab it, but nothing to say that I wouldn't buy any more and modify them a little bit to make the jaw a little bigger. If anybody, you know, anything can be done. So when I work the tip of the blade, I'm gonna probably switch to this anvil here because I want to stay straighter, and I don't want to make any gouges from this small edges. By working on both anvils, I can already say what works best, and I took some of those dents out. There's a little bit of cracks, but that's not a big deal. It's when you hit that thing here, it's a little softer, so when you hit it with your hammer, what it does is it creates a little bump, and that little bump, well, sometimes it'll stick. If you have something coming out of your blade, it's not so much, you can grind it out. But if you have something going into your blade, that's a different deal, especially when you go to finish it. Because I'm doing a kitchen knife, I'm gonna go more on the tip. Oh yeah, this is already right there. Doesn't take too long. Nice. So I'm gonna work on that tip. I can always work the tip on this anvil here, but once I go to really flatten it out, that's where I'm going to start using the this one in here. I'm gonna try to speed up my my working, and because you know I want to make this so it's not going to be too long of a process for everyone. River's still roaring. It went up a bit. I can't see those rocks anymore. We had a lot of rain in the last day. Alright, so I'm going to be opening up this hole here after that. I'm going to go from the other side and just to fix up my little mistake here, so there's not really any mistakes. That's exactly what a fairer, or the person that you call that makes the horseshoes, I guess it's a blacksmith too, but it's blacksmith, so they do the same process. My little punch here. Got this spot on my anvil here, and there's a hole, especially for those kinds of things. So I'm going to set it on here, and I'm going to open it up with this little punch. Small hammer for this. Feel the heat. Alright, there we go. Open that back up. That's good. There we go. Push that up. Yeah. Perfect. Heat that up just to make sure it moves well. It's going to be fixed, and then we'll keep going. This is the fun part of the process, where you opened up that crack a little bit more and you make sure those holes all are in line. That's it. Oh. Yeah, I'll heat this up, I'll come back. Alright, we're back. Straight from the put it in. Right here. A little bit more hot on this side of my forge. There, she's in the good spot. Makes it much easier when you already pre-cut your wood. And the blocks are nice. These are all pieces of 2x4 because I work in a yard, so they're all the pieces that they're all in between. It's all recycled stuff. I put them in those big pouches and I bring them home. I believe I have 2 outside there that have been burned by the sun, but all the wood is there and it's all recycled, so why not? Those are straps that are between the pipes. Big bundles of pipe. So yeah, I like recycling. This was all recycled metal, all recycled stuff. This was an old stove that I used that was here for like 30 some years. Nobody used it, so I just put it right there and set up my forge on top. It came up to be a really good setup. There, that's nice. So that's where you start working on the tip, and then you try to make it as good of a shape you want. Not going too thin either. There's a fine line between going too thin where you're going to have some residue of your hammer hits that are going to be staying in your blade. And sometimes it's nice too, it gives it some character. Then you realize it's a real handmade forged blade. It's not just some store-bought plate that some people will cut up with a grinder. It doesn't take all the scales out, but takes out most of them. good. I don't want to hit that tip when it's too cold. It's still warm because it's daylight. You don't see it as much, but I know it's still warm enough that it won't create any cracks. But yeah, that's right. You want to keep it nice and warm. It takes only a few seconds to put it back in the forge. Get it warm again. You put a little bit more pieces of wood, so what it does, it keeps that heat down. It keeps it down from escaping too much. Alright, there you go. Hey. And I was gonna say, when you do this too, try to hit it, you know, as square as where you want it. It's also a practice from accuracy. So everything you do, you try to be as accurate as possible, and even just cutting these little pieces and chunks of wood, it helps you out. So when you go and do your forging, you're already not bad at it. And that's in everything I do. I always try to be as even as possible. Use a bigger hammer. I polished all my hammers so they're nice and flat. I know they don't have anything on them. Yeah. It's starting to look pretty straight. It's starting to look better. That's where I really, at first it didn't matter. It looked a little rough when I was hitting with this anvil here, but it doesn't really matter, because at the end, take all those little bumps out, And it looks really good. This is like the finishing work. And when it's thin like that, it loses its heat really quick, but you can also give it back its heat also a little quicker. That's what I think. I wouldn't go any thinner than that because then you might have some marks that are going to stay. Well, this is working much better, I find. Already cut my stuff. There. There. Shoot. The floor is not even here, so sometimes I have to give it a little bit of a shim, and we're good. There, it's stable. All right, back to our friend. Yeah, once in a while the sun peeks out. It's really nice. There's some pretty good views. Good. This is where it's important to clean up those scales so it doesn't go into your job. Oh, it looks nice right now. That's good. Like that. Right. That's pretty much the shape I want to give it. Maybe just a little bit more at the end, just to taper. But I'll do that like on this blow here. Like that. Because as a kitchen knife, you want it to be kind of thick too, you know. It's nice, but there's only a certain limit that you can stretch the metal of a horseshoe. I could have used bigger bars like this one here, for example, This would have been okay to make something bigger maybe, but it's fairly close, fairly close. A little bit more. I'll try to squeeze in a little bit more. You gotta be careful. You don't have to go high with your hammer. You don't have to go up your head. Just a little bit of movement, and you make sure you keep it flat, and it keeps your jobs much better. Don't hit it too much when it's not warm. Okay. Chunks flying everywhere. I'm getting the feel back from my forge. It's been over, like if you guys seen the previous video, it's been over a year or so and I haven't got back into it. So this is my second day and it already feels a bit better. Like I say, I'm not a pro and I don't do this all the time, but I've learned quite a bit. My dad he owned a body shop for 40 years and I grew up. I had a good 18 years of, good 10 years or more of really working good and doing all kinds of things and learning how to MIG weld. That's how I got to learn how to MIG weld this thing. And yeah, just being really handy. I call myself kind of a jack of all trades, if you want. They say master of none, but I say master of a few things. Alright, I'm going to start to heat more the middle of the blade, and I didn't want it to have it too long right away because what happened is my forge is not really a long one, and if I make it too long I have to bend it in order to, so right now I'm working it to a point where I might have to bend it a little bit, but it's only going to be like once, maybe twice. Middle there, right there, that's the hot spot. Add a little bit more wood. All right. I'm going to try to stay just a little bit farther out from my forge because my GoPro is getting a little hot there, so it's kind of cold today. It was a bit windy too, so we didn't get much rain, which is a good thing. We had enough. Straight, keep those holes nice and straight. Straightening up the knife as I go, that looks pretty good. Starting to take shape, my friends, it's starting to take shape. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope you enjoy this. I want to show you guys how long it takes to make a knife because it is kind of a big deal, and a lot of people, you know, they'll be like, well, you know, you're asking $400 or $500 for your knife. Well, this is the reason why, because it's all hand forged. And the reason why you can buy a cheap knife at Canadian Tire is because they make it on with a punch machine, and they punch a plate and then they just have to grind it and put some holes and glue a handle or whatever on it. But to make it all by hand, it's a different story. But it's a passion. I'm not doing it for money. I might ask a little bit because after a while, you know, you can't do everything for free, but I wouldn't ask the like super big price or try to. I wouldn't ask for US dollars. Canadians. All right. They say it's not a bad thing to hit the metal a little bit, even if it's not hot. What it does, it compresses all your metal molecule, and I believe it makes for a stronger edge on the side. There you go. That looks good. Don't want to move it too much, but just a little bit is fine. Just a little bit is good. Alright. Back away a little bit. Now I want to try to hit. I'm debating if I should flip it around. I think so. I'm going to start heating up. I've almost made it to the middle of my blade, and I don't want to make any marks in this tip here, so I'm not going to put my vice grip in that area. I'm going to try to keep it closer to where the edge is here. Maybe I should open up that hole again too, but I mean, I could do that. It wouldn't take me too long. I'll open up that hole, the last hole that I was working on, just, you know, just to make it look nice, extra nice. Otherwise it doesn't look like it's a horseshoe. Use my little punch again. There you go. Oh, that's good enough. Nice grip. Oh. Bend a little bit. I didn't need much, just to say it was nice and open. Trying to keep those holes in line. And I have to move that tip a little bit. Just the last heat for that tip, and then we'll be moving on to the other side of the knife. You have to go, you know, you have to assess and you have to adjust as you go along. You can't have it all perfect, like I said. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not doing this all the time. Fun. Look at this view. Beautiful. Beautiful, my friends. Bring that hole back. There we go. A bit more. Every time you heat your metal, you get this tail that's coming off. I believe that's the carbon that's coming out of your blade. So the less as possible that you have to heat it, the better it is at the end. Another little trick. Alright. Okay. I'll be moving on to the other side of the blade, but I'm still going to be working. I'm trying to heat it right here, right in the middle. So I think if I do that, and turn it around, it might be easier for me. Able to be right in that spot. Should be right there. So I'm gonna try it. Some of those holes on the top first. There you go, much better. Gonna really keep that heat down. I've put my knife across so it actually uses as long as possible so I can get in that middle spot. That's about as long as I can work on my forge. There's a certain limit. If not, like I explained, you would have to have a forge that would be done like a V, and then your air would come out at the bottom of that V, There'd be 2 big plates, and then you can make your nice big coal pile, and then you could have that blade that would keep going. It would keep going through anywhere you want it, so then you could heat it up. But this one here is closed. But if you make a nice V, you could actually go down in there, and that's the trick. That's how they make katanas. That's how they use it to and by the way, if anybody watch really a lot of videos about katanas, they will quench their blades. I know everybody see it on Forge and Fire, you're supposed to put it in oil, but those guys, when they make a katana, they will basically have a big long pool of water, and with the clay on the back, they can just take it and they can dump it. They dump it straight in water, poof. And that's the way you have, just the edge of it gets really hard, and the rest of your blade is soft. So you can take a katana and you can bend it sideways like that, and that's the real way of the samurai or the katana if you want. I'm not an expert in that. I'm not saying I'm doing any katana style. They have their own quote, and it has to be like a 30% increase. That, you know, everything is 30% more, so you have the full strength of. It's a science. Those guys, they make thousands upon thousands of blades. But I think it's important to know these things. I think it's important to learn them, because you never know. Maybe someday we won't have all this technology and we'll have to go back to bases. Well, you got it here, back to bases. What I call back to bases. See what it looks like. A little more heat. I'm going nice and steady, so it gives it more an even heat. You know, it's just not. I could blow it like that crazy, but it's not gonna. You want to keep that heat in those coals. At the end, you give it a little bit more of a boost. And it should be looking pretty decent now. Oh yeah. He's getting it. I don't want to overheat it either, because I said to you before, I can burn those blades if I crank my forge. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Oops. Good. I'm gonna keep widening up a bit as I go. Alright, well, as you can see, I've got this part pretty much all kind of settled down. Whoa. I'll be making a really nice kitchen knife, that one. Let me try that again. Put that on an angle, that worked out pretty good. I'm getting at the end of my pieces of wood here. I still got lots. I'll have just enough to finish the second day of forging with you guys, so it's not too long. And I'd say by the time we're done this, I'd say we are going to have our finished shape, and we're going to be good to go after that. Well, I'd like to try to show you right from the start, shaping it up a little bit on that machine over there. but I don't want to go too far with those machines either. I like to go by hand because you can go too far too quick with those mechanic. I'm not a really big fan of mechanic things, and I've always been told to use mechanic stuff, but I've always been a hands-on kind of person. All right, it takes me a little longer to heat it up, so I cut a little bit in between. Nice. Doesn't look like it's too red, but it is. Remember, it's daytime. If I would do this at night, it would be a little bit more spectacular. Drop it, it's no big deal. Clean up the scales. Oh, not too bad. I'm leaving it round a little bit so it fits better in the forge. Okay, starting to take a better shape now. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Sometimes there's ducks over here. Oh yeah, there's one. There he is. There's a nice mallard. They keep coming on. They were coming over here because they had a bird feeder, and they're wild, but they're kind of used to us. Pretty neat little animals. Where else do you get to see that? So I was gonna say earlier, if you want to take a break sometimes and you got your fire going, but you want to take a little pee break or something like that, there's nothing stops you. As long as you don't put air in it, your blade's not gonna overheat, so you just let your fire just sit right there. And that works. That's it. Work on the end there, and a lot of times I make that part here a little too thin compared to the rest of the. I'm going to try this time not to do that. I have a tendency to do so. we're getting there. Looks good. It's really good. So every horseshoe that I work, I might have actually repeat myself, but every horseshoe that I work on, it's always the same principle. I've done a few other ones, and yeah, you always work them the same way. You have to open the crack side and working them a little bit. Yeah, this is really easy. I have a picture of this bellow. If you guys are interested, I might incorporate it. But it's kind of nice. It was. I looked at the plans online on YouTube again, or I just went online. Actually, just when I Googled it, and I got the plans and I built it. Very simple stuff. Getting in the shape. It's getting in the shape. Right. Hey. And again, I'm trying not to clamp my my blade on the edge side because I will mark it. I just want to make sure. Right now I'm working on the tank, so I'm not too worried about. Well, I guess I should give it a little scratch. Keeps everything clean. Out those hammer marks. That's where it's important to keep your hammer straight. Good. All right. Now I got carried away there, so I started hammering and I forgot the GoPro. So you guys want to see. There, you can bring your hammer higher if you want. You can hit it harder. But not when it's not when you want to try to do that nice finish on that blade part. This is just a handle, so I'm going to grind most of this part anyway. Give myself just enough there. That's good. So I made another kitchen knife for someone before, and it was the first one I ever made. I believe it was it was my first knife. I might have photos of that to show you guys. And her name was Crystal, and it was a pretty sad story, so I just made it for my own knowledge too, and I think it was a really good gift. So I made a kitchen knife, and yeah, I think her husband died in a tragic accident, and she was pregnant of 7 months, so it's a pretty sad thing. I think she had a 3-year-old too, and it was our mechanics that at work, it was his daughter. I never met her, I didn't know who she was, so I just wanted to make a knife. And sometimes you have to be generous like that, so I think, you know, the good people in this crisis is also going to pop out. You guys going to see who's going to be the real bad ones and who's going to be the real good ones. They will show their true colors. But that's what I did on my first knife, and it was a really nice one too. I used the same kind of wood for James handles, the Tanto style knife that I made for him. It looked really good. Alright, I think this one's almost ready. It up. Yes, she is. That's why it's good to have two kinds of anvil. Use it to bring it back straight. Just trying to make that handle a little bit longer. And I'm trying to hit it more on this side with the hammer so it pushes the metal away. Not too much, but a little bit. And that's what it does. You want it to travel the way you want it to go. Bring this straight again. There, that looks good. Looking good. I like what I see. I'm going to try to finish this as quick as possible, and we should be done for this video. So day number 2. So it takes a little, you know, a good 2 days to forge a blade if you're in no hurry. That one almost went in straight. These are little pine, kind of soft. There you go. Just for a quick finish. And that's it. Whew, looks like it's snowing in here. Oh, it's a stove. Cranking it a little bit. There you go. Let's go. Ooh. 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 Then again, I'm not too worried about the scales at this point. Hello. There you go. Back on track. That's alright. Good. Give it up a bit. And believe me, keeping those holes and lines are harder than you think. You have to really hit it even. Even if I don't have a whole lot of coals, I'll still be able to get that in nice and red. Almost there. Looks good. I like what I see. Clamp it too close to the edge. That looks good. There. Kind of the last shape that I wanted with it. Pretty much. Just pattern where the fingers are going to be. Right here. One more heat maybe. Whew, she's getting warm. Nice and steady. This is where I like to finalize my shape and make it straight, and we're pretty much there. I'll beef up that handle just a little bit here. Alright, this looks good. Make it straight. Then just a bit while it's still hot. There we go. Almost there. Hey. straight. You think it's good to tap it a little bit like that when it's not like red, and you're making that edge a little harder. You're packing up all the metal molecules if you want. A little bend in that. Not much, but enough. Make sure I address it now. I like the shape of this. I think that's going to be it. Good. And draw it back a bit. Unless you grind it out. Clamp it on the other side. You're always tempted to touch it with your hands. Don't. I almost did there. Now I'm going to make sure it's kind of straight. We call the bend in the ears and the body shop helps a bit with this. This is how you turn a horseshoe into a workable blade. That's it, my friends. I hope you enjoy this. It's fairly straight. I'll work on it again a little bit. But yeah, that's a kitchen knife right there. But we'll make something nice out of it for sure. Cool. You guys can tune in, stay in for the next videos. That's probably what I'm going to be showing. All right. Cheers. I'll leave you guys on that view.